Okay, so hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Varman Rai. I am the Business Development Manager for Halliburton, Guyana. First of all, I would like to thank Exxon as well as CLBD for having me here. And I look forward to continue working with you guys. Okay, so let's go a bit about with regards to Halliburton. I'll talk a bit about the history of Halliburton and then enter a bit of what we look at with regards to our plan for 2021 and moving into 2023, and then a bit of our procurement process and some of the opportunities for our vendors. Okay, so firstly, Halliburton has a very fascinating and proud history. It reveals one of the continuous focus on innovation and expansion that began with the company founder Earl P. Halliburton in 1919. After borrowing a wagon, a team of mules, and a pump, he built a wooden mixing box and started an oil well cementing business in Duncan, Oklahoma. In 1926, Halliburton took the initial step towards becoming an international company by selling cementing units, and by 1950, Halliburton was already in Latin America, the Middle East, and Europe. Today, Halliburton is one of the world's largest provider of products, services to the oil and gas industry. It employs 60,000 persons globally, representing 140 nationalities in more than 80 countries, and offers a broad range and array of products and services and integrated services for both oil and gas exploration, development, and the production market. Halliburton believes that hiring, training, and promoting local energy professionals enhances the economics and the social well-being of the communities in which we work and live. We have achieved 90% national workforce averaging in 80 countries. At Halliburton, we collaborate and engineer solutions to maximize asset value for our customer. Our core values are the foundation of how we relate to each other and to all that we do and who we interact with. These values include safety, our priority number one. We are focused on our own personal safety as well as the safety of others. Integrity. Ethics and integrity are the foundation of our brand and the guiding principle of all that we do. Collaboration. We work together with customers and understand that everyone has a role in providing the best solution. Creativity and reliability. We are innovative and strive to apply the right technology and solution every time. We deliver what we promise, and we believe the quality of the service defines who we are. And finally, respect. We are honest with ourselves and each other. We value our diverse talent and skill sets. Halliburton Global has a total of 14 product service lines operating in 2 divisions: drilling and evaluation, and completion and production. Operations in Guyana started in 2015 with the supply of cementing, stimulation, sand control, and drilling fluids. Over the last 2 years, additional services such as directional drilling, bits, completion services, as well as reservoir evaluation and landmark software application was included in our portfolio of solutions. In 2020, we expanded our services to include coil tubing, nitrogen services, and we commissioned one of the largest liquid mud plants in the world. All of our service lines require varied suppliers. These are including, but not limited to, logistics and transportation management, supply of heavy equipment, mechanical and electrical works, certification, fabrication, pipe fitting, maintenance, warehouse management, materials and supply, waste disposal, as well as catering. Today, we have a portfolio of solutions with capabilities to provide more than 70% of our service lines, and our expectation is to continue to expand our service line in volume and technical solutions into 2021 in Guyana. It is important to mention that initially all our services were supported from Trinidad. As such, we developed an early ambitious plan to migrate the support services for all our service lines to Guyana, and with the objective to enhance our operational efficiency and delivery of services in the long term. Presently, 90% of our operation is serviced out of Guyana. We have a target of 100% in 2021. Our growth and expansion in Guyana will be heavily supported by the following areas: Firstly, our operational facility that is located in Eccles, where in 2019, we commissioned a state-of-the-art repair and maintenance workshop for directional drilling equipment. This facility also houses the cementing and fluid technology lab that is used to perform specialized deep water cementing testing and fluid testing. The second major facility is a liquid mud plant, which has a capacity of approximately 65,000 barrels, which is fully functional. Our growth will be highly dependent on our dynamic pool of local engineers, technicians, administrative staff, who will be the leading edge with regards to developing Halliburton into the future. And finally, and equally important, our competitive portfolio of local vendors delivering various critical services fundamental to our operations. Let's talk about 2021 into 2023. Our expectation and plan are to continue our growth in Guyana over the next 3 years. In 2021, our activity level will increase, and in so, we'll be working closer with our local suppliers to support this growth. Our focus will continue to be the development of our local people, who will be fundamental to our sustainability. Additionally, working closely with our local subcontractor personnel where we will assist with the development. We will continue with the expansion and upgrade of our Eccles facility, including additional service lines to Guyana. Major work is already ongoing, and we expect to continue this work over the next 12 months. Expansion will include warehousing, additional machine shop, testing facility, administrative office, and workstation. For sustainable service delivery, building a strong local supplier chain is critical to maintain consistency and reliability. Our goal is to further establish and increase strategic partnership with local vendors in a sustainable and meaningful manner. Our objective is to provide 100% of our services from Guyana and leverage this growth to be an operational hub for the Caribbean, where we will be able to provide services of equipment, engineering support, as well as logistics management. In 2021, Halliburton Guyana Supply Chain Management will be focused to provide solutions and collaborate with our operational team to transform Guyana to be positioned as a center of operations for the Caribbean, and in so providing the opportunities for local companies to increase their capacity and facilitate the generation of strategic partnership. One of the key elements in the supply chain cycle is the supply value management. Think of supply value management as various steps in sourcing, contracting, and developing key supplier partners. SVM is a continual process that helps drive the relationship to a more sophisticated level. The goals of SVM is to achieve continuous improvement between buying and selling organization and to set the standard for best practices in the industry. The SVM program focuses on 3 Ps: partnership, process, and practice. In Halliburton, we integrate all of them into a systematic way to provide better support to our local vendor partners. Halliburton will be implementing the Ariba process that will be used to support the bidding and proposal process. This system will allow for increased efficiency and response time for the bidding process. Vendors' continuous improvement initiative will be managed by the Latin America evaluation tool. This model allows for evaluation of our suppliers and collaboratively develop a plan for service quality excellence with our suppliers. Effective communication is facilitated with our key supplier via various mediums, including evaluation tools, weekly as well as monthly meetings, an active functional box, as well as open communication channel with our team. We understand the importance of optimization of payment and the invoice process. Vendors can monitor real-time the invoices using the iPortal system. Our commitment is to continuously improve and work closely with our vendor to ensure payment on time. A final key phase of our supply value management is our local vendor development program. Here, we work closely with our supplier to perform HSE and service quality assessment and jointly develop a bridging document to close any gaps in the process versus Halliburton and our client standards and expectations. Halliburton will be working hand in hand with our local suppliers so that our portfolio of technology is applied in our day-to-day activity in the supplier sector, and they are easily accessible and used by our local partners. The bidding process. Halliburton has a global standard relating to the process in terms of sourcing and contracting. In Guyana, we have established additional procedures to support the participation of our local vendors. The bidding process is a three-part process. The first step is the expression of interest, which allows for existing and new vendors the opportunity to review the scope of service and internally evaluate their interests. Here we provide guidance on project scope and technical requirements. The process is followed by the request for information and the request for proposal. For each phase, there is a communication channel that allows for clarification. Each of the bidding process provides a mechanism for the vendor to have clarity on the scope of work and allow our team to effectively evaluate their capacity and capabilities. It is important to mention that part of the pre-qualification process, we review the vendor the procedure and technical requirements for a tender and give feedback on the gaps. Our objective is to build professional working relationship with our vendor and eventually create the environment for strategic partnership. As already mentioned, this process, bid opportunity, opens to supplier a vast opportunity for local businesses, but it also expands its possibility to go beyond the country's border in new international bids. Our process prepares our local companies to reach the same know-how as external competition on the international market. Expression of interest. All procurement requests to support our operations are submitted to the corresponding Center of Local Business Development site. Our procurement personnel submits the EOI, providing visibility to all vendors registered on the site. We have had good success with this system, and we will continue to use this process into 2021 and beyond. The request for information. The objective of this request is to start the evaluation and pre-qualification process based on general internal requirement and the defined scope of work. Specific questionnaires are sent to suppliers to review their capabilities, their strengths, and their capacity. This process also allows us to identify areas of improvement for future opportunities and projects. Such information includes the company registration and the parent company, the Code of Business Conduct Policy, the HSE certification and management systems, PPE policy, as well as the type of subcontractor being used, payment terms, as well as the resource and support available. For the request of proposal, here we can see an overview of the process that we use. Initially, there is an invitation for the tender relates to the project scope is sent out to supplier who responded to the initial EOI. A preliminary review is done based on the response received, and then a formal bid process is initiated where commercial and the technical evaluation is done. Based on the project scope, there will be various rounds of clarification to ensure the project scope and the technical requirement is fully understood. An internal committee reviews the proposal and communicates any clarification to the bidder. Evaluation is done based on various metrics, and each is weighted based on the project scope. The main evaluation criteria consists of the health safety as well as service quality, technical qualification, capacity, experience, and ability to deliver. Depending on the scope of the project, a site visit may be executed. The commercial offer is evaluated and negotiated based on the service provider that's qualified technically and operationally. This process can take from 2 to 8 weeks depending on the project scope. Response from the vendor as well as the urgency of the service will dictate variance to the timing. We have presently greater than 40 local suppliers. Based on our growth expectation and operational requirement, in 2021, we anticipate that our local spend will increase by over 40%. Presently, the main services that is provided by local suppliers include transportation, HSC and medical supplies, warehousing, office supply, security services, mechanical and electrical installation, construction services, fire and safety equipment supply, real estate, and catering. These services will continue to grow into 2021 until 2023. This display here is a summary of the major tender opportunities that will be launched in 2021 and the timing. In Q1, we'll be focused on material and supply, which will include welding and fabrication. This will be followed by the major equipment rentals as well as backup contracts for logistics and transportation. In Q3, we'll be looking at contracting additional materials and providers for supplies, which include catering and PPEs. In the final phase of the year, we'll be looking at entering contracts for civil works as well as equipment rentals. And these will help us to support the opportunities for growth into 2022. We continue to look at the local market to ensure we give strategic preferences to the local supplier. In summary, we do not compromise our focus on HSE for better business results. Health, safety, and environment and service quality are fundamental to Halliburton's business strategy and are among our core values. Journey to Zero is the company's vision to achieve zero safety incidents, zero environmental incidents, and zero non-productive time. This vision expresses our commitment to our employees, our customer, our communities, and articulate our priorities to set the highest standard, embracing the challenge, and make no compromise in execution. Halliburton is committed to providing world-class service to our customer. We realize this commitment requires developing a diverse local network of qualified suppliers to maximize the positive economic and social impact of our value chain. This practice exemplifies good corporate citizen and is good business, increasing the strength and resilience of our local supplier. In 2021, we will have more than 40% of our procurement spent on local and regional suppliers. We have increased our local contract from 17 in 2017 to 152 in 2020. A significant increase in contracts for local suppliers. We establish and foster relationships with suppliers that can provide Halliburton with strategic and competitive advantage for our local operation while expanding our capacity and competency of the local suppliers. I thank you for this time and do have a good day. Thank you.
Day 5, we're on the session, the question and answer session with Halliburton. I appreciate everybody participating, all the participants getting logged on. So just a few housekeeping issues. The session's being recorded so that we're able to utilize the question and answers at a later date. Also, if you want to ask a question, please type it in the Q&A box and I'll get that question. I'm Patrick Henry with the Center for Local Business Development. I'll moderate this session. What I'll do is ask our colleagues from Halliburton to introduce themselves and then to give a little bit of overview of Halliburton's role in Guyana on the Exxon project and any other plans they might have. Of course, there's a longer Halliburton presentation that's on the website for the forum. You can go in and watch that for more details. We just want to get everybody placed with what they're doing and then take a minute or two to explain your procurement processes just to get everybody up to date. And then from there, we'll go through questions. I'll read out the questions and Vaman, you can decide who answers them or how you guys want to handle that. And we'll go from there. But thanks again, everybody, for participating, and I'll hand it over to you, Vaman.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So let me go ahead and introduce our team members, right? So I'm Vaman Rai. I'm the Business Development Manager for Guyana. We also have connected here is Emerson Duarte. He's our procurement, one of our procurement lead, recently relocated to Guyana, supporting our project. And Jose Lares, who is actually have been here for quite a period of time, working closely with our vendors and also leading the procurement group. Okay, so just to give an overview, as you mentioned, for Halliburton and what we're doing, as you guys know, we've been here. Halliburton been actually very active in Guyana since 2015. Started off actually providing cementing services, and since then we have grown considerably in the last 4 to 5 years. And presently providing the fluids, or what we call the mud and completion fluids for the operations. Directional services, we continue heavily on cementing operations, as well as completions for Exxon operations. So just a quick summary of the portfolio of services that we provide presently. Okay. The objective is into 2021, moving forward, is to continue growing our activity in country and working closely with the vendors to develop what should I say, increase local content and more or less continue increasing our activity locally with our vendors. Okay. So let's Jose give a short overview of our procurement process. Jose, can you help us with that, please?
For sure, Bama. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. As Bama said a moment ago, my name is Jose Lares. I'm the procurement lead for Halliburton, Guyana Inc. And well, in terms of procurement, we can say that we have some standards that we apply as an international company that is specifically in Guyana. Everything started with the request of the user. I mean, the opportunity that is made by the user, and we, through the requests that they do and all the alignment that we do internally, we send an expression of interest with a summary to the website of CLBD. And after that, we receive all the expression of interest of the suppliers that are interested in participating in the process. After that, we evaluate all the information that we receive. We do invitation, a formal invitation to our platform to all the vendors who participate or gave their interest to participate. And after that, all the vendors go through the complete process. After we launch the bidding process with the vendors, we receive the proposal, we evaluate technically, also in HSE and service quality information that we receive, and we also perform an on-site evaluation to evaluate our companies, I mean facilities and all the capabilities that each vendor has. After that, we get a matrix, and also we got an evaluation with our committee, and after that we got the result and the election of the corresponding bidder that was awarded. And after that, the contracting process start. That's basically the process of procurement. I mean, yeah, a little summary of it.
Great, thanks, Josue. And also, I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. It's a little tough to hear you, just so it comes through loud and clear. Now I'm going to start with the questions and answers. The first one is, do you think the existing NDE inspection providers in Guyana have the capability to support your growth trajectory in upcoming projects?
Yes, for sure. And well, we are always looking for new vendors. That's the way that Halliburton works, right? But it will depend basically on the expansion of the operation, right? But if we need more vendors related to this specific service, for sure we're going to take a EOI to the market, and we're going to continue searching vendors in all Guyana.
Great. The next question is, how much does your organization plan on spending on project equipment over the next 2 years?
That's a question for Damon.
Okay, so our equipment purchase is based really is split into two, right? Because we buy equipment from Halliburton to provide our main service lines. For example, in the case of directional and cementing equipment, and then our purchasing also we look for equipment at a local level, which will be with regards to the maintenance and supply, and general housekeeping. So there's really a split of two type of equipment spend. Okay, just as an average, we can for the local suppliers it average around $10 to $12 million on spend. What we look for actually is moving forward, there will be a change in how we're going to be operating because the majority now of our operations will be out of Guyana. So in 2021, actually 100% of our operations will be coming fully out of Guyana. So our spend locally for equipment, but also services.
Hey, Vaman,
yes.
I just want to clarify, you're talking in US dollars in spend? And also,
yes.
when you say the majority of your stuff is going to be out of Guyana, you mean going to be based in the country of, not moving out of the country?
No, that's right. When I mean the majority of our operations, so let me just give you a background on that. So previously, we've been supporting our operation from Trinidad, okay, with regards to the fluids operation, completions, etc. Okay, so we have since then migrated everything into Guyana. So in 2021, which will require additional services, right? So versus what we had in the historic, right? So we look at our spend locally will be increasing around 50%, right? More or less to continue the servicing of the market that we have and the growth that we foresee.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that it was actually coming in. I knew you guys were coming in. I wanted to give you credit before everybody thought Halliburton's leaving Guyana. You're actually making a bigger presence.
No, that's correct. So just to clarify that again, 100% of our operation that we service, Exxon as well as other providers, will all be out of Guyana. Okay.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Then the next question is, for your pumping services handling crude oil or its derivative products, did you specify API 610 or API 676?
So let me just clarify that we don't provide equipment to pump the crude oil, okay? Our equipment have the capacity, it could be done, but it's not something we do and not something we do presently, right? But what we do is actually purchase equipment, oil to service our equipment, okay? And those specification ranges from different, depending on the pump and depending on the equipment we're using. But we don't actually pump the crude oil. We're not we don't provide the pumping services for the crude oil.
Okay.
At this time.
Some of the questions have been asked or have been sent in. Sometimes they don't fit with the scope of a particular company, but I want everybody. I want everybody to feel their questions are being asked. So the next question is, if somebody wanted speakers for an event from Halliburton, how do they access that, or who do they ask to get a speaker that they might use for an event?
Okay, in that, it will be directed through me, okay? They can just contact me directly. I'll review with them to see what line of they would like to be speaking on, whether it be technical, operational, or whichever area, and then we can work with them to see how we can participate. We have done a lot. We do with the universities, we have done with vendors, we have done with other organizations locally. So I will be the focal point.
Okay, great. If you're, for any new projects you're developing, where are the engineering and procurement going to take place from? Are they going to be based in Guyana? Are they going to be a mix of Guyana and other locations, or some other answer?
Okay, so the majority, practically all the engineering presently with regards to servicing operations in Guyana are done out of Guyana. So we have our engineering team, let's say, for example, in the case of directional services based in Guyana. Completions at this time is a split between US, Trinidad, as well as Guyana, but that will soon be also in Guyana, as well as the cementing operations and also fluids, right? So the majority of the engineering, as well as the, what should I say, is the construction area is based out of Guyana. Some of the construction will also be supported from the region and global, okay? But the tendering process will be done out of Guyana to support those services. When we do require international support, vendors from an international level, we will of course leverage our support from our global team.
Okay, so then most of you just said it. The other question from that had been sent in earlier was about procurements being handled out of Guyana. So you're clearly, that's all moving to Guyana, and that's what's happening.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to start with the questions from the participants today. Somebody asked that they've been missing the notices about procurements with Halliburton, and how do they find those, and where do they go for that information?
And they're talking about, I'm assuming, based on upcoming operations, upcoming tenders?
I'm going to say probably they're talking about, you know, where do they find EOIs that Halliburton might be releasing, or how do they get information about upcoming procurement? I mean, I think some of that is events like this, but there's other formal processes too.
Okay, so I will let Jose help me with that because all our tender process presently is listed on the CLBD dashboard. But Jose, can you expand a bit more?
Yes, for sure, Bauman. Well, actually, we have different kind of ways to, you know, promote this kind of participation with local content. One is basically through the website of CLBD, where we post, you know, an EOI or expression of interest. And the second way is that we have a formal functional called Guyana Procurement at Halliburton.com. So every vendor, a local vendor who feel interest in give us a presentation about which are the capabilities of their companies, it's able to do it. Just send a request to that functional. I repeat, Guyana Procurement at Halliburton.com. And the functional is going to in charge of setting up a meeting, usually on Friday, right? And of course, we're gonna be there checking out the incoming projects and all the questions that a specific supplier may have, right?
Great, thanks for that answer. The next question is there an opportunity for a US-based machining company opening a subsidiary in Guyana with ISO 9001 and AS 9100 certifications and is currently manufacturing for Baker Hughes in the US?
Well, actually, I mean, we have been performing services with some local vendors, and that has been providing us services related to machining services. But as we mentioned before, we're always looking for new vendors and providing new opportunities to the market. So I'm just encourage everyone in this forum that if you feel comfortable with the service that you're providing and you have a really good core business regarding machining service, just please send your company presentation to us. We're going to check it and we're going to be calling for sure.
Great, thanks. The next question is, does Halliburton currently have a cement plant or a mud plant in Guyana? If so, are you looking to set up such additional facilities?
Daman, that's yours.
Yeah. So we do have a mud plant. Actually, it was commissioned in November 2020. It is one of the biggest mud plant that we have actually globally, almost the second biggest globally, and the biggest in the hemisphere, 65,000 barrels. Presently, we're servicing Exxon with fluids from that mud plant is located in Gport. It's also there. We house a cemented bulk plant. So at this moment, we already have a fully commissioned mud plant as well as cementing plant.
Great. Then somebody asked the follow-up question of who do they contact to submit a proposal to supply commodities for drilling mud?
So all the procurement will be done via our procurement department. Okay, and as Jose mentioned, we can send that directly to the first contact by the email site that is on that Jose presents, and then we can follow up with that with our technical team.
Okay, great. Is there still need for calibration service providers in Guyana by Halliburton?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Is there still a need for calibration service providers in Guyana by Halliburton?
So we do have companies that we use for calibration. Our calibration will depend on the type of equipment we have. For example, in the labs, we do have calibration, which will be probably done some locally, but also some companies from foreign because of the technical specification. So calibration will depend on the type of equipment we have, right? And also what the vendor is looking at. But again, we are open to review what are the scope of the supplies have presently. So there is a potential for additional calibration. Even in the bulk plant, we also do have calibration requirements. Also, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, for sure, Bam. Just to let everybody know that in the procurement plan, the bidding opportunities that were sent to Exxon team last year related to this 2021, it's also included calibration services for almost all the equipments that we have already in Ghana, because we want to expand the quantitative vendor that we have specifically in that sector. Yeah.
So, Josue, do you know when you'll be tendering that out or releasing an expression of interest for that?
Yeah, that's must be in at the beginning of the second Q of this year. Yeah.
Okay. So it's upcoming. Who's ever asking that question, keep your eyes peeled to the center website and stay on top of that to be ready for when it comes out. The next question is Halliburton looking for large-scale warehousing storage space?
Well, we already have a warehousing service provider, and but I mean the operation is increasing so much, right? So it's important to say that we are always searching vendors to support our operations. So for now, we are already getting this support from a local vendor that is a really exceptional vendor. And just in case in the future, if you see any EOI posted in the website, you will realize that we needed more support because maybe the operations are going to continue increasing.
Great. Do you already have a preferred or fixed CCU supplier, or is this still open to tender or register for?
We have an approved vendor right now for CCUs, but we is still open the review of the new options in the market. So we are, if someone has any proposal or any company has any specific proposal related to this specific service, please send it to the functional I mentioned before. I'm going to repeat. It's guyanaprocurement@halliburton.com, and we're going to check that information as well.
Great, thanks. Kind of a question that keeps coming up in these sessions, and so ask it to you guys, that you have a formal process for expressions of interest when you're doing bids, but you'll also take companies submitting unsolicited proposals, so to speak. Is there things that you want to see in those proposals when they talk to you? Some of the companies have said, we just don't want an email saying we can supply that. What would you be looking for if somebody said they were a CCU supplier and they went to your portal and sent you information?
I think the most important, Patrick, even for everybody on this forum, questions and answers, is to provide a presentation where we can see the capability of the vendor. I mean, a summary where we can see which equipments the company has and which are they located specifically, and so we can have like which are the strengths of those companies. And most of the time, when we require a presentation from vendors, it's important to say that the presentation must be, really smart in terms of writing and with essential information that we need to see. Most of the time, in terms of procurement, we are focused on commercial aspects, but we also want to see for a technical purpose, which are the availability of the equipments that you're showing, how do you perform the service, which are the clients that you already have, and which are basically the strengths that you have and the capability that you have as a company. Those are basically the few steps that we see in the presentation.
Great, thanks for that. Is Halliburton looking to expand facilities to cater for incoming FPSOs and drill ships? I think that's a general about your future footprint. I don't think that's a catering question. I don't think they're asking you if you're want to provide catering services to incoming ships.
So let me help with that. So our plan this year actually is to continue with the upgrade of our Eccles facility. We'll be moving our completion services also into Guyana. So we will be expanding that area. So we continue to develop and build on our existing facility. A new facility, not at this moment, because we have capacity actually, as we see, to service the upcoming increase in scope. That was actually in our plans already.
Okay, great. And then there's a question of, is it fair to say your regional headquarters now is moving to Guyana?
So all our services actually presently, like as mentioned, is being serviced out of Guyana. So what we're seeing, of course, nothing confirmed yet, is our ability to use Guyana to support the other areas, for example, Suriname, Trinidad, and the Caribbean. So that's what we're looking at in the near future, how we can get Guyana actually to start supporting the other areas.
And as a kind of follow-up question to that, if a Guyanese company was working for you to support Guyana, is it also a potential they could be working to support Suriname or somewhere else as well?
So actually, yeah. So what we do with the vendors, we work closely with them in developing their standards. So we sit down, we work with them and create like what we say a gap analysis and what else they need to improve on. We work with them on that and to bring them up to the standard that they can work outside. So the answer to that is yes. we get them up to the standard required, so then we can take them and also use their services to support the other area. But also when we do support Suriname and let's say, for example, Trinidad in the future, the servicing of those equipment will be done in Guyana. So we will be requiring the local suppliers to help us on that with regards to the certification, the human resource part of it, as well as logistics movement. So it will be working both ways. So the answer is yes.
Great, great. Are there opportunities or interest for procurement in regards to hotel accommodation or housing accommodation? Or are you open to proposals from people for that?
So we presently have hotel arrangement, housing arrangement. We have agencies that we work with, but we are always open, as Jose mentioned, to alternative options, right? And just something for the vendors also. If they see something that we could improve on, we're very open-minded to listen to that, right? How we can improve and present solutions to us also.
Okay. Then is Halliburton open to partnerships with Guyanese companies? And I don't know what they mean by partnerships here in the sense of you're clearly hiring contractors, but maybe partnerships in other areas, skills transfer or others.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, partnership can be, I guess, twofold, right? We already have partners with the local suppliers, and we would like to think we build a long-term relationship with them that is sustainable, okay? But I think probably they're looking at, depends on who the question is coming from, is moving further where we actually use local suppliers to prepare products and chemicals, and that's a little way more in the future, right? Depending on the activity and the scope also. But it's something we have done in other countries where we actually partner with local suppliers for manufacturing as well as chemical preparation. So that is probably something we can look at way down in the future. But yes, that will also be on the table as we grow in Guyana.
So it's really a long-term approach for Guyana. You really see the Guyanese market growing out and things that aren't available today happening in the future.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. A question we've been asking across all the other Q&As regards your Guyanese suppliers and their if they're having trouble or you see them having trouble with or being uncompetitive because of VAT or duties that they might have to pay, if that's a common theme or if that's there are solutions that you found that can work through that. You're on mute, Bauman.
Okay. Jose, can you help with that response on the evaluation?
Yeah, for sure, Bama. Well, actually, when we take an evaluation, the commercial proposal, we exclude all those kind of things, right? We try to be transparent with all bidders in our proposals, and in the VTAP that we build, we take all those kind of considerations in order to make the final analysis. So it's important to mention that every time that you submit a proposal, the most important to be competitive is to understand the cost of and the structure of cost of your service and how you break down all the cost and understand where exactly you must be more competitive, which is basically the main vendor that you have that is providing you that a specific cost in terms of that service that you're going to be quoting. It's the way that we always suggest our vendors and the bidders in order to be more competitive. I mean, analyze so much the cost and the structure of each cost before submitting the proposal.
Are there some general tips you could provide companies around, how to be more competitive for price or quality? Or there's some things you're seeing that if companies thought through it a little bit differently, that it might make them more interesting for Halliburton to work with?
Well, the most important, as I mentioned before, is to understand the structure, right? What is the core business? The company is what basically they are quoting, right? So if it's an integral service, the most important is to analyze cost by cost, right? And what is basically influencing the cost, the final cost, and your structure. So it's really important to understand where that cost come from, right? If even your vendor or the vendor of the bidder could be even more competitive, how to negotiate behind the scenes those prices to be even more competitive or to submit even more competitive proposal. So that's, I think, the most important when you analyze the cost, because at the end, most of supplier, when they are participating in our bidding process, they understand that they are not participating alone. They have full competitors and bidders that are participating in the same way. So if you understand what is your competition, what is the quality of your competition, which are the strengths, which are the opportunities that you have in your company, you will basically are going to submit a really good proposal, because you're going to compare what is the cost of your competitor against your own cost, and how much competitive you must be in order to get a potential proposal to us. So my suggestion, every time that you try to bid, try also to analyze the market, analyze your competitors, analyze their pricing, analyze their capacities, their capabilities, and make a comparison, a table, a simple table. This is my competition. I am with this opportunities. I have this. I have this that my competition doesn't have it. So try to play with that even before when you submit a proposal, and you will, um, you know, give the best in your proposal because you're focused on what you want to show.
Patrick,
Great.
just to add on that also, as you know, we are very open to conversation with our vendors to give them an early heads up, and I guess this forum also allows for that. But we also have sessions where we give heads up to our providers, so they will have an insight of the future and how they can start managing and planning their business to be more competitive. And that's something we could even work with them on. Okay.
Okay, perfect. A follow-up question to the calibration services is somebody's asking for kind of an annual spend figure, a total value that they might just think about if they're clearly wanting to invest in that sector, or somebody's talking to them about a partnership in that sector. That I think they're trying to understand the market a bit.
Jose, do you have some information we can share? If not, I think the best thing to do is the specific provider can liaise with us, and so we can give a little more breakdown in what type of certification that we actually look for.
Yeah, for sure.
Jose?
What I suggest is to send a communication, a request that you're interested in participating in that specific process to Guyana Procurement at Halliburton.com. And we for sure are going to put you in touch with the PSLs that are going to be requiring those kind of a specific service. And we're going to see all the responses that you need specifically on that matter.
Great. Is Halliburton going to need any internal corrosion monitoring systems? And if yes, is there going to be a bidding process for that, for those services?
I am thinking the internal corrosion system is the for chemicals. I'm not sure if I understand the application.
Yeah, I don't know unless they write me a follow-up question what it's for. That's as much, you know, as much as I know on that question.
Okay. Also, can you add anything to that? Because at this moment, we're not providing chemicals for production, where normally they will have a corrosion inhibitor. So I am not sure if they're looking for a different, if they're being a little more specific.
I mean, I think yes, the idea is to see which are like the requests of the people and see how much we can support on that. But specifically to chemicals, what we are doing with every PSL is to get like a formal requirement from every one of them related to specific chemicals. And bidding process is also going to be launched in the market by the second Q of this year as well.
Great, thanks. I have a question from somebody that is the owner of a truck that can haul things. They've taken a course in the HSSE sector to be safe, and they're asking about, you know, what's the probability, or how do they get involved or express interest to Halliburton that they have this capacity?
For sure, as I mentioned before, that company can send a formal request to Guyana Procurement at Halliburton.com. We're going to check that out. We're going to send the formal meeting to this company, and we're going to let that company to have a formal presentation with us.
Great. The next question is, does Halliburton provide feedback to Guyanese companies on EOIs that they've submitted, or RFIs or RFPs that they've submitted? I'll leave it at that. I'll ask a follow-up question after that answer.
Yes, for sure, Patrick. We provide every time that we go into our EOI, right? After we develop all the RFI or RFP, right? We finally provide feedback to the corresponding bidders. Even those which are not selected, we give them certain feedback of which was wrong in the bidding and how they could potentially participate for the future events. But we always thank every supplier for participating in our biddings. I know sometimes it takes some time, but it's important that we continue pushing and understand the feedback. Even what I said before related to the competition, if you're participating in a bidding process, you should understand and analyze what is your immediate competition and how can you give a better proposal than that. So it's really important how you analyze your proposal before you submit it.
Great. And then there's kind of a question on once somebody's selected, what's the supplier onboarding process to work with Halliburton?
Once the supplier is selected, we go through the next phase, that is the contracting part. And on that part, we basically start with the vendor setup in our system. Remember that we work globally with SAP, that is our global system, and we need to set up the vendor in order to get the contract in the system as well. So the vendor is required to send several information, a bunch of documents, and after we receive all of them, we need to do certain reviews, and we set the vendor up in our system. The final result of that is a 7-digit correlative number that is for this vendor, like their ID, internally for Halliburton. And after that, we can add everything regarding the contract related to that specific vendor in our system.
Okay, great. And a question we've asked across all of the Q&A sessions is your payment terms once a vendor's onboarded and signed a contract, what those are and what that means, just so businesses can understand going in.
Well, our global, as an international company, we have a global standard that the payment terms states in 90 days, right? But here, specifically in Guyana, it depends basically of the nature of the contract that we're going to set up with the vendor. Specific Guyanese local vendors, we set up sometime vendors, some contracts with 30 days, some other contracts with 45 days. So, I mean, there is an exception that we do internally to have um, vendors with lower payment terms than the standard that we have, specifically because we understand that here in Guyana, we need to support even more to our local content suppliers.
Okay, great. So it's a bit up to negotiation based on the company's need with you guys when it comes to signing the contract.
Correct.
Does Halliburton need any specialized software developed, or do they already have internal programmers who can take care of that task? Is one of the questions.
That's yours.
So I'll take that one. Yeah. So we do have internal software developers, and most of from the landmark applications. But also for each one of the specific service line, we do have our own technical support for global. But if there is some specific developer or applications, we can still probably take a look and see what they have to offer locally.
Okay. So I think
Jose, Jose, can you just write in the chat box the link for the persons to contact, for the team members, for the vendors for contact with us, please?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think just as with a lot of the answers from you guys, if a company is doing specialized software or whatnot, they can put together a qualifications of their company, presentation, and send it to you guys, and you'll look at it. But so they need to go that way as well, and maybe something comes of it, maybe not. But you guys are open to receive things.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. Great. I'll see if there's some more questions coming in. I think that for all the participants on the chat, the Center for Local Business Development's really here to help Guyanese companies work with folks like Halliburton and others in the oil and gas sector. So please, look at our website, get in our SRP, do all the, use our seminars and courses, our HSCC management program to help you upskill to be able to be part of the sector. The center's really there for everybody to use. And so please take advantage of the opportunities. Also, all of Halliburton's EOIs will come out on our website and through the portal for work in Guyana. So, it's www.centerguyana.com. So please continue to check that out. Also, everybody, you can certainly go to the supplier forum webpage to look at Halliburton's presentation and their projections for this year. You can reach out to them directly. So, I think there's a lot of assets and ability for people to be able to utilize. I think I'm going to ask you, Jose and Vaman, what have you guys seen from 2015 when Halliburton first started in Guyana, to 2021? the kind of growth in the suppliers and what you can access in Guyana. You know, what do you see with the local suppliers and the direction they're headed in?
So we have seen a significant improvement first in the quantity of suppliers as well as the quality, right? So moving from 2015 and as of present, a significant difference actually in that. And I think is really positive in that sense. And what we see also when those companies taking the same development that they had and continue with that, we also see that continuing for the next 3 to 5 years, where we could even increase our activity, well, increase our participation with the local suppliers for higher technical scope. So it was really, really positive. I see that in the last 5 years. Jose?
Yes, for sure. Just to add some comments to what Baman said, we have seen a lot of participation from local Guyanese. We have a really big pool of suppliers so far, and it has been really interesting. We have had some initiative in place since last year related to give feedback, continue feedback to internal local vendors for Halliburton, which are local content. And based on the supplier monthly meeting, that has been a really good initiative. It is done every month. And we invite every vendor that participating actively in this meeting to participate as a host vendor. They have to, you know, promote and provide a presentation every month in front of all the remaining vendors, and it gave us, you know, the most important is to create a culture between all the vendors that we have so far. And actually, we also provide our vendors feedback related to LA vendor evaluation tool regarding their performance, their internal performance. And we are getting even more initiative this year related to local vendor development plan in order to make vendors get to the next level, because that's why we are here, to support local content, and we want just to continue in the direction that is the right one. Thank you, Ron.
Great, thanks. There's a new question about, are you looking for new competitive shore-based storage or wharfside facilities?
Mama?
So based on the activity level we have right now, as in our capacity caters for the expansion, but of course, over the next year or two, if there's a difference in the activity level, we'll be potentially looking for that. But at this moment, we are relatively okay with regards to what we have. That could probably change within the next period.
Okay. I'll give a call out for any more questions if people are have anything, or to make sure I haven't missed anything anywhere in all the way the questions come in. Let me check the chats. Nope. I think that we've you know, kind of come to the end of the questions. What I'll do, Baman, is ask you to give a bit of a wrap up from Halliburton's end, and then I'll go from there. If one question trickles in between now and then, I'll certainly ask it before, but we can start wrapping up.
Okay, well, Patrick, first, thanks for the opportunity to be here. We look forward to continue working with the local suppliers and developing them. One point I would like to also reinforce, also you asked previously with regards to the question of the change from 2015 to now. And what for me was very creative is the change in also the HSE culture, significantly different and very positive. So we look forward to continue working with the group, maintaining high quality of safety, and also in continuously improving the service of quality we deliver in Guyana. And also developing even the the staff members, our local staff in Guyana. So it's really exciting to continue our growth in Guyana. Thank you, guys.
Great, thanks, Vaman and Jose. I'm going to make a shameless plug. The center has an HSSE management program. So for all the participants on there, if you haven't looked into it, check out our website. We work with businesses through a series of seminars and some mentoring programs to get you an auditable system that folks like Halliburton and others can look at and understand what you're doing. So really at the center trying to support the growth of that HSSE culture in Guyana. Like to thank Halliburton for participating both in the presentations on Monday and today's Q&A. Thank you very much, and thanks to all the participants. Again, the center's there for everybody to use. Please use it. Please get on our website, register in the SRP. And thanks again. Have a good weekend, guys, and stay safe, everybody.